I've been getting quite a few questions from students about the grading on the initial assignments. So I wanted to record this because, and what you're looking at is part of an email that a student sent me, and the student's wondering why they received these grades on, if you notice right up here, assignment number one, which I think was sending the email, the student educational background, assignment number two, then assignment number three, which was the discussion board to introduce yourself, assessment number one. Notice these aren't marked yet, but they will be, and well, I'll explain how I'm going to grade the assessment. And then we have the assignment of uploading, the two uploading assignments. And the question was really about assignment number two, why they got a 3 out of a possible 4 points. And I just wanted to explain the system. Now, and let me just point out that these correspond to the assignments, and let's go over to a course. This happens to be my criminal justice ethics course. The same thing is true with my other ethics courses in week one. And week one usually starts the same way. But, excuse me, we're in course content. And I wanted to go into week one. Okay, here I am. And notice I had the welcome message. And now I had assignment number one, which says, and maybe I should make this slightly bigger, 90, 100, a little bit easier to read. And in fact, I'm going to get rid of this bar to make it. Okay, this is about sending the email to me. Assignment number two, student educational background. And you answered, it was looked like a quiz. And if you go down there, was that it for this one? Oh no, assessment number one was the discussion about the trolley example. And here are the assignments to upload it. So they probably look the same way. Now the question is, how were they graded? Well, on assignment number one, this particular student got a 4. Normally, and remember, the system works if you get credit, good credit for either a 2, a 3, or a 4. This is an updated portion of this video. I've updated it to try to give you give the students in general a better explanation of how your assignments are graded. Now, part of your final grade, in fact, a large component of your final grade is the number of assignments you've completed in this course. And it's going to be a percentage. And I think it's usually, if you look at the syllabus, take a look at it, it's usually between 70 and 80% of the assignments you need to get full credit. Or I sometimes give you two different levels. And if you hit a certain percentage, you get full credit, full number of points, and a lower percentage, less number of fewer points. However, just to understand the grading of the science, because I think students sometimes find it a little bit difficult, I've put together this chart that I want you to follow. Now that you've seen how it looks to you when you see my grades, here are the way all of the assignments are graded. I should say, except for the quizzes. And you'll see the quizzes in general, in order to get full credit, you should, or I usually give you credit regardless of how poorly you're doing, but you should get about 80% of the questions right. That is, if I have a 5-question quiz, you should get 4 of the 5 questions right or close to that. I try to go in the quizzes to get it higher, but I just want to see how in general these assignments are going to be graded and how they can, I want to show you how they're going to be graded and how that's going to contribute to your final grade. Okay, so there are 2 basic categories in which I assign the grades. Let me see if I can okay, the first one, you get a check. In Blackboard, it's going to show up as a 3. And basically what this is saying is it's mostly correct. It's substantially correct. You could have a few things wrong. So that is, if you're going to give this answer on exam, you still may need a little bit more work, and you probably should figure out what you quite didn't understand and go back over it, but you did pretty well on it. You did okay on it, pretty well, and you're getting full credit for it. In addition to which, you might have just gone on the wrong track. You didn't understand something. You didn't understand what I was asking, and the the answer is really off base and you really need to change that substantially, that's going to get you a minus if you're handing it in class and a 2 on Blackboard. And keep in mind, I use the same whether it's a face to face or a hybrid where we're meeting in face to face in a classroom, and I have you write this stuff during class, or whether I have you. Sorry about this thing popping up, or whether I have you are you taking it online, or I have you do the assignment online. The grading is going to be the same in both cases. So a 2 means, it's you're not on the right track or you have a bit of work to do till you understand it. Now, don't think that you got to start over, start again, because 2 and a 3, and even the next one, get you full credit for the assignment. That is, it showed you really tried, you made a mistake. That's part of learning. Part of learning is giving an answer and then discovering that you didn't quite understand, and you got to go back and do a little bit more work to understand what you got wrong on it. The other full credit score you can get is a plus or a 4, which I really say is excellent or really is, excels what was required. This is that kind of answer. I'm usually going to accept full credit on an exam that I give you, or if you're writing an essay or a paper, I'm going to give you full credit for that kind of answer, and I'm going to give you full credit whether you get a 2, a 3, a 4 on the assignments. You're going to get full credit for it. And I should mention that I've changed this. I used to give partial credit. I used to give 3.5s, 2.5s, less than that. But what I want to do is really stick to the 2s and 3s, the vast majority of students. That is, maybe on every discussion in class, or most discussions, somebody will get a 4. Maybe not. And it could very well be that everybody gets a 2 on it. In fact, there's one assignment that my students usually get 2s or have earned a 2 on. They just didn't get it right. They didn't get what I was talking about. However, I think, you have tried and you did give the college try. So for any of these, you're going to get the same amount of credit. And don't get nervous. If you have a string of 2s the whole way through, it does not mean that you're not getting an A or an A plus in the course. It's just, it took you a while to learn it, which is okay. That is not a problem in the course. Now, all of these will only be handed out after you've handed in the paper. And when you first hand in the paper, you will get a 1. When you initially get a 1, it doesn't mean that it's a late. In fact, it doesn't mean that it's late. But if you have a 1 there kind of permanently, it means it was handed in late. And in order to get the full number of points of this kind of work, of these assignments that I'm giving you to contribute to your final grade, you're not getting full credit for things that are handed in late. So make sure that you hand things in on time. And with regard to lateness, I'm going to set a time that after a while, I'm not even going to accept late as an answer. You're going to get a 0 for it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You still should do it because that's the only way you're going to learn this material. I can't emphasize it enough. You're going to hear me say it from time to time. Make sure to keep up with your work. Now, if you don't hand it in at all, you're going to get a 0, or you'll see a green circle with an exclamation point, which really means I haven't marked it yet. But if you haven't handed in, you're going to get a 0, which means you're going to get no credit towards the number of assignments completed for the course. So what you're trying to do is for all, or the vast majority, or the 80%, or what do you need for full credit towards your final grade in this, you want to get a 2, a 3, or a 4. They could all be 2s. It just means that don't give me that answer on an essay you're writing, or don't answer any short answers in the same way because you're missing something. Mostly correct. Well, for the most part, you're probably going to get it right, but you still might be missing stuff. If you have excellent answers, don't worry about it. But remember, it doesn't matter whether you got a 2, 3, or 4 on the assignment. It's not going to affect the calculation of your final grade. However, if you are getting a string of 2s on these on the assignments, you need to be concerned about it because there's something that you're not getting, and if you don't know what the right answer is, after we've gone through the lessons, we've gone through the modules in the course, you're not going to do well. So that's the time where you really want to work on it and try to get it better and think about what you got wrong. One other thing that I'll do with regard to discussions is I will give you videos explaining general problems that I saw with some of the submissions, and tell you what were right things to do, wrong things to do, and I might even post answers that are good answers that would get a 4 for this, just so you know when you're studying for your exam, you know what it is. And the idea is when I am giving you these discussions, or if I'm asking you in class to write something down on a sheet of paper, it helps you think about the problems that we're talking about in the course, and it will help you understand the material. And that's even if you get a 2, when you get it back, you see it's a 2, you can figure out where you went wrong. Go back. You might want to listen to part of a lecture that I'm giving on something to make sure you get this right. But don't worry about it. The assignments are made as you go on, they're going to get harder. The standards are going to be higher. And furthermore, let me also just warn you with regard to some discussions, and it's going to come up right at the beginning of all my ethics courses, is how we start out talking about a particular problem, the trolley problem that you were supposed to, if you're doing this online, you will have heard of already. And in week 2, we're going to go back through and go through that example in detail. I'm not asking you to give me the same answer on your discussions or your written work in class that you gave me last week. I'm digging into certain details, and I'm expecting that you've thought about it and you have more to say about it, and you've thought about it a little bit more. Maybe you have better things to say about it. So always, I'm not just asking the same thing. Just don't copy it from one place to the other, but it might require some editing or some thinking in order for you to get the right answer. Okay, and you should look at this and think about how your grades are going to be are going to be assessed, or how they're going to be assigned, I should say, at the end of the semester.